Hello everyone, today's tutorial is how to make a restriction map of a plasmid. So I'm going to start by making these two individual plasmids before we make the final plasmid because this is a beginner tutorial, and as a beginner it's easier to see your two plasmids before making your third. So I'm going to start with the HPAL plasmid. So first I draw a circle. Then I look at the size of fragments obtained and I see 26 kb, and that's the only one I have. So I know that that's the total, so it's safe to write 26 kb in the center of my plasmid. So now I'm going to make a cut, which would go all the way around, making it 26. I'll write that on the side because this is 26, and I label the cut HPAL. So now it's my hin 3. Make another circle, and I add my HPAL cut because I already have that one in my previous plasmid. So now I have to know where to make these. So I take the biggest one, 13, and I know 13 is half of 26, and I'm going to cut down the half, 13 kb, and then I'm going to label that hin 3. I'm just going to put hin since it's shorter. Oh, sorry. Now I have the 6, the 4, and the 3. So I'm just going to make the 6 visibly bigger than the 4 visibly bigger than the 3. So the cuts don't have to be to scale. So I'm going to put the 6 right here. That is an hin cut, H-I-N-D. And then I make the 3 right here, which is visibly bigger than the 4 just by a bit. And hin. So these are hin cuts because they're coming from this digest performed. So hin, 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 these are all size of fragments for the hin. The 26 is for the HPAL. But now what do you do when you have both together? And how are we going to label those cuts? So I'm going to make a big circle to make this very obvious. Okay, so first I'm going to start with the cuts that I have. Well, I'm going to evaluate what I have to do. So I see I have a 3 and I have a 4 in both of these. So these in 3 and 4 are going to remain. Then I have a 6 here and I have 2 6s here. But if I look over here, I have a 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. So they took the 13 and divided it into 2. So this is a pretty easy plasmid to map. So I'm going to start with the cuts that I know. So I know I have an HPAL here. HPAL. I know I have a hin here. And this would be my 13, which I'm not going to write because it's going to be split. And I'm going to write these ones because they all go into the next plasmid. So 6 kb, it's an HIND cut, hin cut, and then 3 kb. Notice how these are visibly bigger. Actually, I might have made this 4 too big, so just try to make them visibly bigger, even though it's not to scale. And so now I have 13, and I have the 7 and the 6 left over. I've done the 3, I've done the 4, and I've done one of the 6s. So I have the 7 and the 6 left over, and the 13. So 7 plus 6 equals 13. So I'm going to make one fragment a bit visibly bigger than the other, which would be the 7 kb and the 6 kb. But now, how do I know what to label this one since it's both? I'm not going to label it HPAL and HIND3. So how do I know what to label it? So you need to visualize a rotation. So we have our HPAL here. Let's pretend it was here. How are we going to cut this 13? Well, we're going to rotate it until we hit about here where the cut would be. And then one will be 7 and one will be 6. So let's imagine we had our 26. Ooh, don't forget to write them in the middle. That's a bad habit. Anyways, let's say we had our 26 right here. How am I going to cut this 13? So I rotated it and cut here. So since I'm using this to cut here, and this is HPAL, this is going to be labeled HPAL. So now you know how to map a plasmid.